So this will be recorded again if you want to just review it or have any questions. First of all, you can absolutely always reach out to us. We can be reached canvas@american.edu. Our phone number I should have memorized by now. Where did that go? 202-885-3904. Doing that in the chat real quick as well. And our email. Actually, I should have shared my screen before that so I can show everyone where I'm getting that from. All right, here we go. All right, we'll move that out of the way. I'll move the Zoom meeting controls. Perfect. All right, so this is going to be our Canvas dashboard here. So once you log into Canvas, which will be through your AU portal, if you're having any trouble with that, just stick around afterwards and I can help you out with that. This is the Canvas landing page. This is going to be your dashboard. Up here at the top, we'll have any important announcements from the university. Course reserve request specifically, start of the term, things like that. It's always going to be very similar to what's going on. Finals time, there's going to be something about finals. If something changes with finals, it'll probably be a global navigation up there. So what we're going to focus on over here first is going to be this left hand, again, the global navigation bar over here, global announcements, global navigation bar. You can see the gist of it here. So up at the top here, if we click on account, again, just general account stuff here. We'll go into that a little bit more later. Not too much specific here that we need to look into now. Just know that your notification settings are here. So if you're getting too much of something, not enough of something, you can set those here. We'll click on those real quick and give a quick look through those because we are going to cover quite a bit today. You can see here there are different things, due dates, grading policies, assignments, submissions, things like that. And then over here, we have different options. We have notify immediately. As soon as someone submits, you'll get a notification. As soon as something's graded, students will get a notification for them. Their page works very similarly if students have questions. And then daily summary, once a day, you'll get, here are the submissions from X assignment for today versus the week, or turning them off entirely. There are quite a few different ones here to look through. And additionally, at the top where you have settings for, you can set those notification settings by each given course here. So make sure to double check those. If you're missing something specific from one course and not in others, make sure it's going to be turned on for that course versus other courses. So if we head back to our dashboard over here, we're going to kind of stay in this left-hand global navigation bar for. Again, I was mentioning where our information is located. That's going to be down here at the bottom. If we click on help, we'll get this little slide out bar here. Up at the top, it says search the Canvas guides. That is the link that I sent earlier. It's not as easy to get to them as it used to be. It used to take you right to the page where it said, teacher, student, admin, and then it would send you to the guides page. Now it's a little bit deeper. First, we click read the guides. Then we click our role here. Then we click instructor guides. And now we're here at this page. So I sent you that link in the Zoom chat. So I usually recommend bookmarking that. This will have answers to all of your questions. A little history for me real quick. Before working at American University, I worked at Canvas, the company, as a solutions engineer over there, pretty much doing the same thing I do here, but at a global level for all institutions. So not only is this guides for how to use Canvas, this is the official internal operating procedures for all of the tools within Canvas, again, internally and externally. So there is what is called the documentation team that is half engineers that are building Canvas and half some of the more educationally, mostly former teachers, former educators that kind of build the why things should be built. The engineers do the how, the teachers do the why, obviously. So there's a team of them that work on the documentation team that make sure everything is documented properly, explaining how things work. So one of the biggest benefits from that is it is not only explained from an engineering standpoint, but also there are educators on that side that are explaining things from an educator standpoint. So for example, if we go into something for announcements, we'll see here, well, there's a small one here, but the blue portion at the top are usually going to be the kind of notes to keep in mind, things that may have led you here. If you're having issues with this, that's because of this, things like that. Also new updates, things like that, you'll see in the blue portion at the top. They're all going to be formulaic like this. They'll have a title of how do I do this? Where do I find this? How do I create this? Things like that. And then as you'll scroll through it, it'll be very step-by-step. with screenshots. You'll see there are kind of numbered sections here as they walk you through the different steps of how to delete the notification, or excuse me, the announcement specifically. And then over here on the right, there are also going to be links that kind of take you a step further, how to open an announcement, where things that may have led you to this, this guide specifically, and where you may need to go from that. A perfect example I love to use for that is falling into a Wikipedia hole. You go to one article, you find something interesting from that one, and you kind of keep tumbling through. This is a fantastic place to do just that and to learn a lot about Canvas in the process. So let's see, for example, you know, we want to find out something about the, let's see, files. So we click on files, it scrolls down. You can see how huge it is. There's tons of stuff here for everything. We go find something about files. How do I upload a file to a course? You can see all these notes at the top. See here in the notes, Canvas does not support files larger than 5 gigs. Something to keep in mind. So they put it up in the blue section as well as some other things to keep in mind. If we scroll down here again, we see all the screenshots and everything. But once we upload a file to a course, how do we replace a duplicate file, things like that. And you can see how you can kind of start tumbling through the guides a little bit and learning a little bit more as you go. So those are the Canvas guides up there. Again, it used to be a little bit easier to find, but it's still going to be right there. As we go down here, we have some more options. The AU Faculty Learning Support Services portal. This is going to have a lot of the internal AU information. Oh, I should have looked. Sorry, I don't know why this is going through this. Hey, there we go. So this is going to have a lot of the internal standard operating procedures for things, a lot of the guides. If it's late and we're not available or something like that, you can always go through and find your answers here, things like that. If it's very time sensitive and we're very busy and not available at the moment, you can find a lot of your answers through here. I won't focus too much on that. It's just a lot of things I'm going to be saying now. So to go further down from that, here we have Chat with Canvas support. So American University does have a contract with Canvas support where I used to work for 24/7 support. The one caveat for that is, again, they do not work for American University. I do. I'm the Canvas admin here at American University. So there's, I can pretty much do anything. If there's something in Canvas, I'm the one who's going to be able to do it. The Canvas support staff will be able to walk you through any technical steps of how to do things, how to build an assignment, how to grade an assignment, how to do things like that. They won't be able to answer any specific university information, things like that. You know, where to find and the school specific grading rubric, things like that. They'll kind of know where to find it, but they may not know if it's official, things like that. They also won't be able to essentially do things. So if you need any assistance with anything, hey, I'm having trouble with this, I need to delete this, I need to change this, something like that. For them to do something like that, they need to get an email from you, and you need to be the official instructor on the course. It needs to come from that official email. They need to get an email from their supervisor clearing anything. It takes a couple hours. If that, it's going to be some time if you need some help with something that needs to be done in a timely fashion. Whereas if you're having trouble with a quiz, the quiz is starting in 5 minutes. Oh my gosh, I got to get this fixed. Give us a call. We can fix it for you and say, hey, when you're done with the quiz, give us a call. We'll walk through what happened, what we changed, and how that can be fixed going forward, things like that. So again, they are absolutely 100% skilled and can answer any question you need about the technical side of Canvas. They are available 24/7. There are 8, I think, offices all over the world: Salt Lake City, Rio de Janeiro, Sydney, Australia, London, England, Budapest, Hungary. There's one in Brazil, all over. So if you hear an accent, don't be nervous. It is the same teams. I created a good portion. It's probably irrelevant by now. It's been about 3 or 4 years. I created a good amount of their training material, so they should know what they're doing, hopefully, if they're still following the material. But again, they are available 24/7, 365. You can give them a call anytime. If you have a late exam for a student that's traveling internationally or something like that, they can always help you at any time, again, walking through things, just getting another set of eyes on things. Hey, does this look weird? Is something wrong here? Another good page to keep in mind is the Canvas status page. So you can see here, Canvas recently had some issues with their phone support. So this is something they will always update things. There's, again, a 24/7 team that monitors this and will always update it. And so if you're seeing something weird, you can check the Canvas status page, status.instructure.com. I'll throw that in the chat as well here. That's another great place to check. If something's looking weird, it's really late, it's outside of our normal business hours kind of thing, and we're not available to help you out, definitely double check here real quick, just see if something's weird. It'll just kind of give you a quick idea. But again, always reach out to Canvas support. They're available and very enthusiastic to help you at any time. So scrolling down through here, Not too much report a problem that goes to Canvas, but then it also comes to us, but it doesn't come to us first. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time to bounce through, depending on the details and a couple other weird things. So if you have any weird pressing stuff, definitely start by reaching out to us, either by phone or by email. Early on in the semester, definitely start by email because we do get pretty busy getting things fixed up and set up for things. So shoot us a quick email. Usually we're able to resolve most things very quickly. Again, one of the big benefits of Canvas versus some of the other LMSs is, again, as I mentioned earlier, myself and my colleagues who are the Canvas admins here at American University, we can do pretty much anything within Canvas to fix things, adjust things, change things that needs to be done. There are very, very few things that we need to reach out to Canvas support to do for us. So again, just reach out to us, shoot us a quick email if you have any questions. We can always give you a help out there. All right, I think that was enough time on not really Canvas stuff. So now we'll get back into the Canvas specific stuff here. So again, going through here, you won't see that admin tab. That's just for me. Dashboard, you will have most of your courses on your dashboard. The dashboard does have a maximum limit of how many courses it can show. So if you're not seeing all of them here, we're just going to click on courses over here on the left-hand side. We'll get a little slide out. Again, it'll show most of our courses in this slide out, but to see all of them, we'll click on all courses here, and you'll get a full list. You'll have active up at the top and past courses down at the bottom. If you have a lot more than me, you'll have a scroll wheel and you'll scroll all the way to the bottom of those. Past courses in most cases will not be removed from your account, but rather they automatically have dates set for them that when the the American University, when the term ends, courses will close essentially. So they will stay in a read-only state. They will, in most cases, fall off of the active dashboard for most students and faculty, and you will just go through your all courses to find them. But they're still there. They're not deleted. Submissions are still retained, things like that. Another big benefit of Canvas is it's very, very hard to permanently delete anything. We'll go over later, there's an undelete tool. So if you accidentally delete an assignment in your course and it was the wrong one, you wanted to delete assignment 4 instead of assignment 4.5 or whatever, there's an undelete tool that can kind of catch the vast majority of quickly deleted little things within your courses. And then beyond that, we as admins also have a few other tools that we can recover deleted content. So it's very hard to delete things in Canvas, which is always a really good thing. So again, most of your courses, if you're not seeing them, probably in your past courses, and they're still accessible in a read-only state. For students with incompletes, we can also reopen courses just for you and that student to finish the incomplete. They can finish their final exam, their last quiz, their last assignment, whatever. You can process their grades, and only you and that student will access it. The rest of the course won't have it reopened. They won't be confused. Why is this course reopened? It was from spring of 2021. Oh my gosh. It will just be you and that one student for the incomplete. Again, reach out to us and we can always get that set up for you. It takes about 14 seconds. It's pretty quick. So we have our courses here. Calendar we'll get to in a minute. Inbox. We'll do inbox real quick. It isn't an email system. That's the biggest thing we like to get out there first. And that's its biggest hindrance, honestly. It is an internal messaging system within Canvas. Users will get a notification to their American University email that says, hey, you have a message in Canvas. Here's most of the text of it. Click on this link to go to that message within Canvas. So it feels very email-y, but it's not 100% email. You can attach things to messages within these Canvas messages, but those attachments will stay within Canvas. So when students get their notification email or whoever gets their notification email, it will say, hey, you got a message. Click this link to go to that attachment in the message within Canvas. Some instructors don't use Inbox at all, and that's totally understandable because of that confusion with emails. It can absolutely complicate things a lot. For that reason, yes, a lot of instructors, I don't want to say a lot, a fair amount of instructors don't use the Inbox tool at all and will just use the American University email system. The registrar through their system on Eagle Service, I believe it will give you a full list of all the student emails. They are also able to, I think they can just generate a list if you reach out to the registrar's office for you with all the emails. You can copy and paste it into an email. You can set up a, I can't remember what the name is for a kind of like a listserv. I don't know if they still call it that within Microsoft system. But yeah, you can set up that email block where you can just go into the email and say, I want to email this course, and it'll take that whole block of users and throw it into the to field every time. Within Canvas, very similar to that. But again, it has its limitations. So over here, we'll have all the previous messages I've received, things like that. We can sort by courses. We can sort by inbox, unread sent, things like that. To send a message, we go here to the upper right-hand corner, this little pencil in the rectangle square. And when we hover over it, we get compose a new message. And you can see here, rather than entering emails, entering names directly, first you sort by course. You go through the course that you would like to find to send to all the students, to one of the students, to a TA, whoever. You start with the course within which they are located that you want to communicate to them. And then here where we insert and select names, you can see if we click on it here, mine's trying to populate there with previously added courses. You can see you can add all users in my Canvas demo course, just the teachers, just the students, student groups, or you can start typing names. I think Han Solo, yeah, Han Solo's in this class, so I can add just Han Solo, or I can add the teachers, or I can add just Han Solo and all of the teachers. And you can kind of see how it formulates. It adds users in these little blobs. My colleague Ashley Rockmo. You can add users essentially to this. You can add all the teachers, all the students, include observers, and then from there on, it's very similar to an email. You have a subject, and then you have your text box here where you can type your email. You can add your attachments and attach media here as well. So you can see kind of similar to email, but it's totally in Canvas, aside from the notification emails that it sends to the official email address that is on file, that for all users, 99.999% of users should be their American University email address. So yeah, I think that kind of illustrates there are limitations to the tool. It is great, it is functional, it is a perfectly valid way for communicating with your students. You can see that there are little notification blurbs up here. You can see here the little bubbles. It says, hey, I have 3 new messages, whichever 3 of these are new. These 3, sorry, these 3 with the unread bubble here. So it is perfectly valid. You can use it to communicate with your students. They will be notified. However, another thing to keep in mind, here, is in notifications, students do have the ability to turn off notifications for inbox messages. They are turned on by default. So that is one thing to keep in mind. If a student says, hey, I'm not getting any emails about your messages in Canvas, have them double check their notification settings or things like that to make sure they are turned on entirely. So we went through the inbox real quick. History, that's just for me as well, comments for me, and we went through help. So now we will get into the course real quick. And before I kind of get into anything specifically with the course, one thing I have really failed to bring up in past sessions similar to this is that one of the things I really think is important is to think about what you would like to get out of Canvas before we kind of start getting into Canvas. None of the tools are required to be used. As instructors, you don't have to use Canvas if your course works just fine without Canvas. It's not something you need to use. The example I love to use is when I was working at Canvas during COVID in 2020, we got a lot of contact from trade school instructors who were saying, hey, my class is on Canvas now. I teach welding. How can I modify my totally in-person hands-on class that never had a piece of paper ever? How can I turn that class into something on Canvas? And a lot of times they would get information from their school. Here are all the different tools you can use: modules, assignments, quizzes, discussions, grades. And it's a very overwhelming process to get all of that and to try to figure out how do I use all of this to make my course. So something I really like to focus on now is, or mention, and hopefully you'll dwell on at some point, is what you really need from Canvas. If it is a course that has previously been operated on Canvas, perfect. We can use a ton of that on Canvas. Any course that has previously been held on Canvas that you have access to and have the that are allowed to copy. So if it was from another institution, it's always something we recommend. Make sure you get an okay from that institution to use that material. Some institutions have a weird contract that retains any content created by the instructor. You can tell we ran into this when I worked at Canvas. Some institutions retain that information as owned by the school, as weird private school situations. It was a big case when we were at Canvas, so I always remember that one. So we always recommend double check with the institution from which you're exporting that information. But with that, you can export information from any Canvas course into any other Canvas course. So again, if you worked at another institution and you taught that course there, have some material, even have one quiz from there, we're absolutely able to help you move that into your new course. So no content is ever lost. No past content, I guess, is ever lost unless you don't have access to it or that institution doesn't exist anymore. And even then, we can maybe find it still. So we can always use past content for your courses. If you had that content within another LMS, Blackboard, Moodle, things like that, there are a lot of ways that that can be exported from those tools and then into Canvas to be used. So if you have content like that, we don't have time to cover that here, but definitely reach out to us and we can look into and see if that content is usable. There are a lot of ways to use existing content that you have within Canvas, past courses from other systems and things like that. So again, a big thing is really figuring out what you need from Canvas. Additionally, there are external tools that you can use that may attached to your Pearson textbook. You can use the Pearson LTI, that is just the Pearson external tool that attaches to their textbook, has all of access to their quizzes, exams, assignments, things like that. And that may be all you need to set up for your course is just attach it to Pearson because that's the textbook you're using, things like that. So there are a lot of shortcuts within Canvas that are really time savers and optimizers of previously existing material and also just existing knowledge that is out there essentially that we can use for your course. So back to that main point of figuring out what you need for Canvas for the essentially the minimum you need, not necessarily the minimum, but as a starting point, the minimum you need to get your course started. There are kind of two basic necessities that I like to start with that most beginner users in Canvas will kind of fall into that category, and it is going to be either the grading necessity category or the assignment necessity category. Obviously, the grading is I just need somewhere to post my grades to my students. Like the example with that welding course, when COVID was over, they were still using Canvas and they still wanted to post grades and things like that. Everything was still happening within the course. So we walk through the process by which you can just create places where you can enter grades for things that happen in the classroom, essays that are handed in on paper, whatever, presentations, things like that. So for that real quick, we'll get into that real quick, finally into Canvas things. So again, the question is, we'll start with our kind of column A, which is I just want to enter grades in Canvas, and we'll just start there and we'll kind of build from there. So for that, we'll go into obviously the grades page over here in our course navigation bar. If we click on these three lines, you can see we can kind of hide or show this course navigation bar. You will see it in most places in the course. If you don't, you'll see these three lines up here and you can click it and generate it. So when we go into this grades page here, you can see this course is a demo course here. So I have some assignments set up. I have all of my faithful students here in the course from the Star Wars universe. And you can see it looks like a grade book. It looks like an Excel grade book here. Again, we have the student names listed over here vertically in columns. In this first column, we have each student has their own row, and the columns are each of the assignments within the course. The week 2 discussion that is out of 10 points. The course Q&A that is out of 50 points. The manual is the grading type. We'll get to that in a little bit. And you can see here, obviously, it builds us a course grade book here where we can enter grades. We can click here, and I can give my colleague Shilpa 10 out of 10 for her week two discussion, because I'm sure it was fantastic, as Shilpa is. I can go through for the Q&A. Oh, this one is just a, this is an all or nothing. So either you turned it in and you get a check mark and you get full credit, or you get the X, you did not turn it in, or it was not satisfactory and you don't get the full credit. Of course, Shilpa gets full credit. She's fantastic. If we scroll over here to the side, you can see all the different assignments we have here. Oops, my total column was moved here. So I can drag it all the way back over to the right here. So it shows at the end. All the columns within the grade book are movable. We can drag them around here, but they will go back to their own original place. If we click here, you can see we have a few different gradebook views. I always recommend starting with the traditional gradebook, obviously, because it shows your more common traditional gradebook view, obviously. The individual gradebook here, if we click on this, this is going to just show a little bit of a deeper dive into one specific student. This is something, again, we'll cover in a different tutorial session, just because it is very detailed. So again, in the gradebook here, we have all of these columns. And we'll have teachers say, hey, I've seen, I went to the training, I saw there were columns, or they sent us a guide to the Canvas guides, and I saw these columns, and I just want to make columns to enter my grades. Of course, obviously, as with everything, it is a little bit more complicated than that. Unfortunately, we're not just able to make the columns right here. Since Canvas is, again, created as an all-inclusive tool to kind of have the ability to put everything together, it is a little bit more than just adding the columns here. But it is still very simple. So for that, we will head over to the assignments page.
Sorry,
and with that,
question.
Sure, real quick.
So for the grades, I'm looking at a traditional grade book, but there's just list of my students' names, and then there's only one column. How do I kind of build it to get to the view that you had? Like if I want to kind of go that route.
Yes, that's what we're doing here now. So to build those columns, those are all going to be generated off of assignments within the course. So let's see here. Which one of these has the fewer? Okay, we'll just start from here. That's all right. So if I collapse these groups on the assignments page, actually, let me just move this one. Assignments. This is, again, just one of my dummy courses, and they're very easy to recover, so it's okay for me to delete them. So this is how your courses will be starting here. Oh, it'll always start with one default group. You can't have no groups in here, so I'll just remove this. And it will usually be titled assignments. All right, I should have set this up before. I thought I had this in another one. So we'll go back to the grades page here, and you can see I have my students here, and I just have the one column for assignments and the total here. So this is the default of about how it'll look like. So to create those columns, we'll head over to the assignments page here. And say, for example, you have a very simple course. The only assignment is going to be the final exam. So when we click plus assignment, this will take us to our assignment creation page. And this is something we'll get very comfortable seeing. A very long skinny bar at the top here for some sort of a title. All of our kind of functional tools here, most of them will look very similar. Some of them a little bit different. We'll get to those in a minute. And then a text box here where you can type whatever, add whatever, all of your content for the information about the assignment here. So again, we put final exam. Again, this is just going to be for a very simple course, hypothetically speaking. This is where you submit your final exam essay. We can put other additional information in here. Starting on the left here with these tools, again, these will look very familiar. Font size, paragraph, just a general, different paragraph settings. Bold, italics, underlined, text color, background color. Sorry, switch those. Superscript, subscript. Those are the ones that'll look similar. These are the ones that get a little bit different here. These are the Canvas specific ones. The first one here, this little link here, as you may be able to guess, is going to be adding a link. An external link is anything outside of Canvas, New York Times article, article from another newspaper, something like that. If we click on course link here, this is going to allow you to link to other material within the course. So again, depending on how much you use Canvas, how much material you add to Canvas, if you're going to add files, upload PDFs of articles, things like that for students to read, we can link directly to that information here. So if we click on course link, you can see we get this little slide out on the right, and we have some of these menu options that look familiar to some of the other options here. So you can see we can link directly to a page. If you've created a page within your course, pages are just kind of general text. There's no submission. It's not like a discussion where there's a message board type section. You know, it is just a page of information. It's called Pages. It's very creative. You can link to a page here if you have any pages with articles or whatever information here. If you have pre-existing assignments, if you want to say, hey, think back to assignment number 4, where we did our final exam topic selection, and I gave you some input on your topic ideas. So you can say, hey, think back to assignment number 4 where I gave you those notes. You'll have your assignments listed here as you create them. You can click on the title and it'll create an individual hyperlink that goes directly to that assignment. So you can say right there, hey, students, go back to the assignment so you can remember that. Quizzes, announcements, things like that, anything else within the course you can link directly within here. The next one here, this little image here, as you could guess, is going to be images. Upload an image directly from your computer. If you have course images, again, if you have those saved within your files area, you can directly upload those here. And the last one, then the kind of newer one here, is going to be user images. So there are going to be 2 places that files can be stored within Canvas, within your course files and then within your user files. As you can guess, the course files are located within the course, and our user files, if we click on account here, beneath notifications and profile, we can see we have files located here. So we'll click on this real quick. You'll see it's just a kind of very rudimentary file storage area. You have folders, and within those folders, you can add different things. You can add folders, you can upload content, things like that. We'll probably go into a little bit more detailed files section in a different tutorial session. Oh, and you can see here, Canvas does have a bit of an autosave feature. It's not something we recommend relying on, but if you do leave a page before you have hit save or anything like that, it will kind of hold on to that for you. You can preview it, so you can see this is what I had in there, so I can copy it. I can say yes and just put it right in there, or I can copy it and then, oh, this is what I had, this is what I saved, whatever. So you can see there it has a little bit of a rudimentary, somewhat of an autosave feature. Again, not anything we recommend relying on. It's not going to be 100% as nothing is digitally, of course, but but it does work pretty well. So that's always one thing to keep in mind. If you navigated away from a page, oh my gosh, I didn't want to lose that, head back to that page and that pop-up will be shown in most cases, and it'll have what you had there, or at least most of it. So we have here, again, upload image from externally, course images and user images. And as we go to the right with media, it's going to be very similar, course media or user media. And last one, documents, external documents, course documents, or user documents. Again, those are going to be for uploading any content into here. This is going to be, again, the main area where you update, or excuse me, where you upload and put information. This is what you're doing for your, final exam. So moving forward to the right here in this next section, we get this little star that you're going to see a lot. You may recognize it is the Kaltura icon. So whenever you see that star, that's going to be somewhere where Kaltura is linked. Your American University Kaltura account is already automatically attached to your Canvas account. If you don't have a Kaltura account, reach out to us as well. My colleague manages that, and she can generate your accounts or link them if they're, for whatever reason, not working. So if we click on Kaltura here again, this will just give you access to any of your Kaltura media that you have, previously existing videos. Anything that you've recorded will go to your Kaltura account. If you record any Zoom meetings, it is also automatically set up at AU that if you use your American University Zoom account and you record a meeting to the cloud, as we're doing right now, it will automatically go to your Kaltura account. So you don't need to do anything else. It'll just automatically, a few minutes after you're done with the meeting, as soon as you end it, it'll process for a couple minutes, and then you'll see this meeting. This was the last time I tested it out. You can see here a couple other times in Kaltura trainings where I did that and recorded it, and you can see they pop up here within a few minutes of processing. Sometimes you'll get some weird processing error. Definitely reach out to us. For the most part, we can push those through. If not, we can submit a ticket to Kaltura on your behalf for those. So the next one here, this little plug, is going to be for plugins. Plugins are going to be anything external that attaches to Canvas that you can access content through. So I mentioned earlier Pearson. If you're using a Pearson text, McGraw-Hill, all of the other ones that there are. You can see here, if we click on this, just the most common ones, the most frequently used ones will show up in this first section. YouTube is going to be very common. And if you click view all, you will see all the external apps that are already set up within AU's instance, and you can just attach to your account with them, attach to your Google account, attach to your, again, it's already set up with Kaltura. You can attach your Microsoft Office, you can attach your LinkedIn for whatever reason, Pearson here, things like that. Some of them will be set up, some of them you'll need to just link it to your personal account, Sage Vantage, things like that. Again, kind of case by case. If you have any trouble, definitely reach out to us and we can help you with that. But this is where you'll find all your external tools. So again, if you want to attach a link to a Pearson text that specifically relates to the final, you can click on this, click on Pearson. Once you click on Pearson, it'll kind of bring up a window and you'll go through your Pearson stuff. They didn't give me a Pearson account, so I can't really go through and show you that. But again, with Kaltura media, like you can see here, it loads for a second, it gets everything figured out security-wise, whose account is this, who's this, and you can see these are all mine. Zach Schiffman, that's me. These are all my videos. Same thing with Pearson. It'll show all your Pearson stuff, the textbook you use, the assignments you have saved, whatever, however their system works, you'll have access to it essentially through a little window, or it'll pop up another tab within your browser, things like that. If you have a tool that you would like to use that you do not see in this list, it is something you can add to your course. All instructors at AAU do have the ability to add external tools to their course. If you use something obscure that is not used at the university level, it can be added to your course. That can be done down in the course settings menu here. We'll have another training for that in a week or two, I think. I know we have one for that. Pretty sure I'm doing that one. If not, it's my colleague. But yeah, same thing. You can set up any tool. You can attach pretty much any tool that has a Canvas LTI or external plugin. We can attach to Canvas. And through this tool, you can pull either content into Canvas that shows specifically within this assignment, quiz, whatever, or it will have a link that takes students to that external information in a new tab, depending on how the tool has it configured for there specifically. A few more formatting things here, spacing, bullets, stuff like that. The chart here, a table over here. What's this one? There were changes made to these last couple here, and I'm not sure why this one isn't working. And I think it's it usually has a little pop-up when it clears your formatting. Maybe it's telling me I have no formatting on it.
Quick question. Let's say like we just want to kind of upload a homework PDF, attach it here. Is that like we don't want to kind of do writing or kind of link anything? How do we make an attachment?
Yeah, that would just be through here. You would just upload an image and you would just upload file from your device.
PDF.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do a PDF. There is a list of accepted files. It's pretty much anything you can think of. Let's
I
see.
thought it says image, maybe it just has to be like a JPEG or something like
Yeah,
that.
pretty much any image file you can think of. The only issue is just going to be if you get into some like real software engineering specific file types, those can obviously just confuse Canvas if there's just too much, wall of code that's being submitted. So yeah, pretty much any functional file you can think of will work as something you can upload. If you have any issues, definitely reach out to us. And there are a lot of tools that we can use to just transfer that to a different file type that Canvas does allow.
Sure. Thank you.
Veronica?
Yeah, I also have a short question. Regarding like copyright or plagiarism or something like that, is there like a maximum number of pages that we can upload of a book? For example, if we scan it, can we upload like an entire book, or is there like a limit to it?
Not
I don't
in
know.
terms of copyright, just file size. Again, that 5 GB
Okay.
file size. That's really the only restriction within Canvas. There's not any hard-coded copyright. It's kind of up to you a little bit. As just making sure that's something able to be shared, I guess. There's not going to be any like pop-up or anything that's like, hey, this looks like it's not this is copyrighted material, don't share it. There's not going to be any sort of pop-up or anything. So it's honor system a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely something I do know. I shouldn't say no. I believe some departments have a tool for that.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, there's nothing in Canvas that does any sort of works with any sort of copyright or anything like that. Yeah, it's just kind of assumed that it's either yours or it is kind of a fair use education.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah, I know there used to, sorry, real quick. I know there used to be something in Canvas, and there was a big legal case about it. So Canvas was just like, we're done, we're turning it off. So there used to be something, but now there specifically isn't. So yeah, it's kind of honor system-y.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So yeah, for the most part, again, most of the 90% of Canvas can be done in what we've just gone over in the gradebook and assignments. For the vast majority of classes, what you need to be, I don't want to say what you need to get done, but a lot of what needs to be done within a course can be accomplished within assignments and just within the grades. The abilities within the assignments tool are very vast of what you can kind of do with that, what you can request from students, things like that. So if we scroll down here, we'll see some of those, and you'll kind of start getting an idea of how kind of wide ranging the assignments tool is and how it's something that you can really tailor to your specific course use of what you need from students and what you're essentially giving back from them or what they're getting from it. Whatever amount, on Canvas versus off Canvas. So as we see here, the basics, total points value for the assignment, 50 points. Assignment group here, as you start making more assignments, as we saw on the previous page, there was just that assignments, that gray bar here. Real quick. As we can see here, we have the group titled assignments, and then within that, we will have our assignments once we finish creating our first assignment here. So this is where we choose which group that's going to go in. Chapter 1 assignments, Chapter 2 assignments, Part 1 assignments, whatever you want to call those groups, however you want to section them out. This is just where you decide where they go. Display grade as, again, this is going to be another one where you can really kind of tailor to how your course is set up. You heard me mention a little bit earlier in the grade book, one of those assignments when I was grading them, it just had complete, incomplete, all credit or no credit. You can see that's one of the options here for display grade as. This is how students see their grade, as it sounds, when they go to the grade book, when they go to the assignment, how is it displayed to them? So obviously there are a bunch of different ways. Do you want to give students their raw score, 48 out of 50 points? They got 48 points out of 50 total. Percentages, if you run your entire course off of percentages. Letter grades, GPA scale. I don't think I've ever seen anyone set a GPA scale for assignments, but it's there. And then we also have not graded. So not graded, let's see. Not graded, obviously, it's not graded. It's a practice assignment. They're not going to get a grade for it, whatever. It's not going to be calculated within the grade book, and it also won't show in the grade book. Complete, incomplete, as I mentioned, all or nothing. They either get all the credit or they don't. points, you give them points, you can give them decimals, you can give them 49.999 points. I think it may round at 3 decimal places or beyond 3 decimal places, but you can give them an exact number of points. If they need a certain number of points, or if they didn't get a certain number of points, you can go down to 3 decimal places, I believe. Letter grade, you can give students a specific letter grade. By default, it will go off of the AU default university grading scheme, I believe. This is the default. Again, if you don't turn one on within Canvas, this is the university's official grading scheme. I don't know where this is posted at the university level. I know it's official, so I usually do recommend, if you're going to use this, just, you know, quick highlight it, take a screenshot, share it with your students just so they know. I don't know how available that's made to students. Like, I don't know if it's in like a new student packet. Hey, here's the default AU grading scheme. If your instructor doesn't use their own custom one, this is how you'll be graded, that kind of thing. It may be, you know, it may be something they get when they're a freshman and never see again. So again, if you're going to be using the grading scheme at all, or if you're just going to be changing it or not changing it, it's usually something we recommend just kind of, you know, letting students know where that is. Yes,
Can I
Greg?
ask a question? I'm sorry. If I don't make an assignment graded, like a proposal, am I able, when after they submit, am I going to be able to, is there a place to give feedback, even though I'm not giving a grade on a proposal? Okay.
Yes, yeah. Once students submit, their submissions go to a tool called SpeedGrader. Yeah, it shows all those submissions. Just the fact that it is in an assignment, any submissions go to that SpeedGrader tool. So yeah, everything still works with the assignments and comments and everything, except for the grading function. And there's actually a separate tool for that down here. Do not count this assignment towards the final grade. So that's one step closer to it being graded, where it has points. So if we set it for not graded, it changes things a little bit. It takes away some of our options, just because, you know, it's just submitting, it's not graded, it's just some sort of submission here. But if we go back to here and we check do not count this assignment towards the final grade, it will show in the grade book, it will show students' grade, it will show 47 out of 50, whatever, but as it says, it will not calculate into the final grade. It will show as a practice final exam, something like that, practice final exam. This is how you would have done if it was real. It won't calculate, but they'll see it as a real looking assignment.
But I will get, even if I don't do it that way, if I just do it as not graded, I'll get an opportunity. I could say, hey, I can give them feedback within. Okay.
Yeah. Once we get to SpeedGrader, you'll see the section with the comments and everything. It just won't have a little grade box. That's the only difference it'll be.
Okay.
And Greg?
Yeah, I have just a couple probably stupid questions, but I just want to make sure I'm clear. So everything you were telling us about, you know, within that box and things you can upload, that's what the students will see, right? When you publish it?
Correct, yeah. They will see
And
whatever.
then there will be something, and then they'll have they will see that if it's the final exam, there will be some way they submit it, the final exam, based on your instructions.
That will be, that'll be this portion here we're going to get to next, the submission type. So yeah, it'll start with at the top, they'll see final exam, and then below that, they'll see some of the details. So down here where we have the dates, the point value, things like that, they'll see that like kind of right here where we have these settings. Then they'll see this whole box, all the information, text, images, whatever you put in there. And then down beneath that is they will have their submission type. If there are multiple, they'll literally just have little tabs, and I'll show you that too in a minute. They'll literally just be little tabs. Do you want to do text entry? Do you want to do website URL? And they'll select one, and then they'll have that option. They'll have an entry, a text entry box, or an upload, a little upload button, things like that. So yeah, those will be down at the bottom. So yeah, it's kind of in this layout, but yeah, a little bit different. You know, the information in here, and then they'll have their little submission box at the bottom.
Okay, and a second stupid question is, I think what I'm hearing you say is, if say there are a bunch of readings for the whatever February 15th class, that can be an assignment, and you just upload whatever they are, the links, the PDFs, anything to that, and it will be something that's not graded. And you can do that, and you can also have, and for that class, you're supposed to submit something that is graded for that class.
Correct. Yeah. Upload all our documents in here. Linking to anything in the course, previous assignments. Keep this in mind. Your proposal for your essay was this assignment. You got to do that. You can't just pick something new. I'm going to remember. So you can link that in there, and you can kind of walk them through it. This is I think the character limit is in the millions for this field. I don't think I've ever seen anyone hit the limit for that. So yeah, you can put as much as you want in there. You can lay out the entire course and then say, now do your final right at the bottom. Yep.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, no problem. We did cool. Okay, so we're right here. So we did display grade as letter grade is the we did the grading scheme. GPA scale again. I never seen anyone use it. You can use a GPA scale. It will also factor into the grading scheme percentage wise. Again, don't use it. It's super complicated. I've never seen anyone use it or hear of anyone call and be like, I have this idea to use GPA grading. Again, not graded practice assignment, something like that, where it's just not really graded. You don't want students to worry about a grade. You just want something from them. Again, proposal for an essay. You don't want a column in the grade book, anything like that. We do not grade it, whatever. For the most part, it's going to be points. Most users will do points. It will also show a letter grade. It will calculate that. It will show a percentage for them. So it shows all of them. It's a little bit of a misnomer of how it displays, because when you pick points, that kind of gives them the most information. They can click on it too, and it shows them a percentage, their grade. It shows the if there's any grade weighting, it shows them to that in the grade book. We'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, so points is going to be the most common. I'll check that here. And as I mentioned a minute ago, submission type here is going to be probably one of the most common settings here down at the bottom that you'll change assignment to assignment, depending on what you need. So first here at the top, if we click this here, in the just general submission type options we have here, the first is no submission. So this can be really useful for a you are having students go to this local theater and see a Shakespeare play, and you'll get 50 points. Come find me afterwards and sign this sheet and you'll get 50 points, whatever. They're not submitting anything to you. You're just giving them a grade for something. Something somewhere is receiving points. They're not submitting anything to you. When they go to this assignment, there won't be a big blue submit button that they see in the corner for them to click that they'll usually see. It will just be, hey, here's local theater play, 50 points, and you can enter the 50 points. You can still give them a comment on that. You'll still have access to that in SpeedGrader, but they're just not submitting anything. If you don't want anything from them and you don't want to confuse them, we can just select no submission here. The next one, online, is going to be the most commonly used option here. We'll skip that for a second. On paper is very similar to no submission, for other than the fact that it gives you the option to upload a scanned file of a paper submission. Most instructors just have their students do this or have them not use paper for whatever reason. But if it's like lab notes or something like that, it's usually easier to just do an online submission and have them upload a scanned file of their notes or from their iPad or their computer or wherever. It's probably digital for kids today. So yeah, on paper, it just doesn't have a online submission place for students, but you can still give them a grade. You can still upload something for them. Lab notes are usually the best ones for on paper. And then the last one is going to be external tool. Oh, not the last one, but the last on the list. So if you want to use a Pearson quiz that they have on their Pearson site, McGraw-Hill, things like that, they have quizzes on their sites. You can link to those quizzes essentially here. So when you click find, you go here to Pearson. I don't have a Pearson account, so it wouldn't pull it up, but it would pull up your Pearson account, and it would list, pick your course or pick your whatever, however it's subdivided within Pearson. And then you would say, oh, I want the section 4.7 assignment in Pearson. Click on it. And then you would see the whole Pearson link here. And instead of students clicking on submission and uploading a file or typing in a text box or something like that, it will either open a little box within that assignment where they can upload their Pearson whatever, take the Pearson quiz, or it'll have a link and it'll open up a new tab and it'll go to their Pearson quiz. And when they take that quiz, it'll automatically pass that grade back to Canvas. So you just link straight to Pearson, they take their quiz, and automatically those grades come right back into Canvas and they show in the grade book for you. Very case by case again with external tools. We'll cover it a little bit in the external tool training, but there's even too much for all that. So a lot of those you can set up some time with us and we can help you get those set up as well. For the most part, we don't have too much access into some of them. They don't trust us anymore. But most commonly you'll be using online here. This is going to be students are submitting to the assignment within Canvas. Online means to the online Canvas assignment here. I don't know why I did that. motion. So here, as you can see, it's checkboxes. You can select as many, I want to say as few as you want, but if you don't select any, it won't let you save it. So text entry, it just gives them a big text box. They can type in their response right there, right away. The one issue with text entry, it does have a rudimentary autosave feature, but the common things that cause a browser to shut down when a student is working on something, losing internet, their computer dies, things like that. Some of those can also be reasons that the autosave feature may not work in some cases. So for text entry, if you're going to have some students submitting something long or some sort of composition that's not just like, I'm going to do Shakespeare for my essay, something like that. We usually recommend doing a file upload and just having them submit a Word document. Microsoft Word, the autosave feature on that is much more robust than it is in Canvas. So it's just a little bit safer. It's a little bit better to work with. With text entry, it's just a lot of text. If someone's typing an essay in the text entry, their internet dies, their roommate turns on the firewall that shouldn't be on, whatever. Sometimes that can cause weird issues with that. So yeah, if you're going to have them submitting something long, a large amount of text, we usually recommend doing a file upload of a Word document, something like that. But text entry is totally functional if you just need something short from students. They just get a text box just like this. They get most of these options. They don't get external tools. They don't get either of these external tools, but they can upload their personal files, their user files. They don't have access to course files to upload. They can see course files, but they can't, attach them to things. But yeah, so they will just have, user images, user files, user documents they can upload into this. So the text entry does give a wide range of options. You can type in some text. You can go down here. You can put in one of your images. You can upload a document. So multimedia things can sometimes be good for text entry or just giving students options. If you're just asking for a open-ended submission, text entry gives them a lot of options. Website URL, it requires students to enter a URL to submit. They can't submit if it's not a functional URL. Functionally formatted URL. It doesn't scan it to make sure that the website is functional or anything, but it just doesn't let you submit unless it's formatted like a URL. Again, not super common. Media recordings, again, upload a media recording, very simple. Student annotation is going to be the most unique one of these. For student annotation, the example for that one is like elementary school and middle school grammar editing. So you upload a document that is an essay with a bunch of grammar mistakes, and each student individually goes through and annotates that to say, this is a run-on sentence, comma splice, blah, blah, blah. They all get the same document. They will have access to the annotation tools similar to the ones that you have in the SpeedGrader tool that we'll get to in a minute. It's not a super common thing at the college level other than peer reviewing examples, things like that. So yeah, student annotation is a common one for grammar assignments. And then file uploads, again, is the last one. The vast majority of file types you can submit. Even if Canvas can't directly read that file type, most of the time they can be submitted. Again, the common outlier for that is, again, some serious software engineering files, stuff like that can sometimes confuse Canvas. Restrict upload file types. That is if you only want if students are just supposed to be submitting a PDF of a image of something, you can require that they only submit a PDF. If it's not a PDF file, they can't submit it. It also helps if students are often submitting weird file types to do that thing of, oh my gosh, it didn't work. Oh, I'm on my way home. I'll send it to you when I get home. But really they're at the library frantically finishing their essay after the deadline, things like that. So this is a good way you can kind of get ahead of that a little bit. Again, you can select multiple online, and selecting multiple is usually going to be the most common because, again, that will give students options of how they submit if you would like them to have options. Submission attempts here, this is how many times you would like students to be able to submit. Submissions never overwrite, they're always stored. So students, if they keep resubmitting a bunch of times, you'll just have a big list of all their submissions. So again, we can limit, we can say 2 submissions. They can only submit twice, both of those will be retained. This is a really good recommendation, or something we recommend teachers do, especially for like a Friday night assignment submission. You give students 2 submissions in case they have a mistake, they submitted the wrong file, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to be sitting by your phone, sitting by your computer, waiting for emails to roll in as that deadline hits, and everyone, or half the class expectedly says, oh my gosh, I'm having issues. Given the multiple attempts, again, none of them are deleted, none of them are overwritten. So you will always be able to see those multiple attempts when we get to SpeedGrader, and we'll get to that in a minute here. Plagiarism review, we'll cover this real quickly. There's another session that covers it in more detail. You can just very rudimentarily turn it in from here. It will review any file upload submissions that students submit. It will run it through Turnitin. You get a very rudimentary set of options here. It's not the full Turnitin options. To get the full suite of them, you'll just need to go to Turnitin.com and log into your AU account there, and you'll have the full suite of options here, but this is a very rudimentary option if you just wanted to scan it real quick. That score will show in the grade book right next to each student's grade. There'll be a little tiny flag that is just the, their Turnitin similarity score. And you can click on it and it'll take you over to Turnitin and give you their full readout with all the details and everything like that. So Turnitin is there. You just kind of turn it on and pick your options there. Group assignment here. If you want students to submit as a group and get a grade as a group or not as a group, you can turn on group assignments here. You will have to set up those groups in the people menu over here before you set those up. Again, that's a bit of a complex thing. Reach out to that if you'd like any assistance with that. Peer reviews, as it sounds, you set up the peer review system. Students submit, and you can set it up to either manually or automatically assign them. Once everyone submits, automatically give everyone 2 reviews. So 2 random other students' submissions will be sent to them, either anonymously or not anonymously, for them to grade, and you will see them before those submissions go to the student. So if someone writes, "Oh my God, it was all terrible, you suck," you'll see that first before it goes to the other student too, so you can deal with that. Peer reviews will also, again, be covered in more detail in one of the other trainings coming up. Moderated grading, if you have TAs within your course and you want different TAs, you want kind of the opinions of different TAs for essays, and you'll kind of average it out or however you want to handle it. You can have moderated grading, so those TAs will grade, those grades will be sent to you, you'll review them before they're sent to the students. So there's kind of that second step of grading. It's kind of totally blank. There's a name for it in British schools. They have a grading like that. I think it's called something similar to moderated grading, but it's very common in England. And I know we get a lot of answers. I used to get a lot of questions about that when I supported late at night during daytime in England. Anonymous grading, again, if you want to grade things anonymously, if you want to, AU has its student teaching reviews, student evaluations of teaching. So you don't really need to build your own, but if you do, you can have an anonymous assignment with students. Last but not least, here at the bottom is the assign to section. This is something we will see in anything graded. So quizzes, assignments, graded discussions, we'll see this. This essentially dictates who can access and submit that assignment. So by default, it is assigned to everyone. The due date is open and it is available from the start date of the course until the end date of the course, because it's open. By default, if we just hit save or save and publish, this assignment would be open to everyone to submit for the entire semester. The difference between those is the available from date is the date at which it becomes open. So if I set this was January 1st, and then the until date is the 12th, that is the window within which submissions can be made. The due date, however, is the date after which any submissions are marked late. So I kind of mentioned earlier, allowing multiple submissions is a really good thing for some Friday night assignments. So is also using the due date and the until date to your strengths, which is you can set the due date for Thursday night, but you can leave the assignment open until Sunday. So that means you tell students, hey, it's due on this date, but it's open until Sunday. Hey, submit before Thursday. That's the due date. It's open until Thursday, because if you have any issues, you can submit late without having to email me. I have to reopen the assignment, go back in, edit it, change it, make all these changes. You can set that up beforehand. Some instructors will only use the due date and will leave the until date at the last day of the course. So students can always submit things late. Any late submissions will be marked with a big red late stamp within SpeedGrader. And then it's up to you how you dictate. How much do they get late? Were they sick? Do they have an excuse? Then it's up to you. You don't have to deal with that in the moment. You can deal with it later. You can deal with it Monday morning. You don't have to deal with it Friday night, things like that. One other really important thing about the assign to section is, again, by default, it's assigned to everyone. If we remove this and only assign it to Han Solo, only Han Solo can see this assignment. So if Han Solo is sick, we need to reopen the assignment for Han Solo. We don't ever want to delete where it says everyone here and assign it to Han. What we want to do is just click this plus add button at the bottom, create a unique assign to section for just Han Solo. He gets next week because he was on Hoth dealing with stuff. He gets next week to access the assignment, while everyone else, you can see once we created Han Solo's, this changes to everyone else. Everyone else's access remains the same. If we delete these, if we delete everyone else, If we delete this and just hit save after the fact, this does have the possibility for deleting submissions from students that were previously made. So this is not something we want to do. We always want to add additional assigned to sections if we ever need any additional access categories for students. Awesome. I think I covered just about everything for assignments there. Wow, time is running way quicker than I thought it would. Let me just go back. I didn't hit save there. Publish. Just wanted to get into SpeedGrader real quick. So SpeedGrader here again, any submissions that go through to the assignment, whether it's ungraded or not, will go through to the SpeedGrader tool. It will open up a new tab here and it will always look formulaically like this. Up at the top, we have our assignment title, which is gibberish because I forgot to save the last one. Up here, this will take you back to the gradebook. We can ignore these until the more detailed gradebook training that comes up in a couple days. Over here, where it says the student does not have a submission for this assignment, this is where the submission would show. Whatever they submit shows here. Their file, their text, their images, whatever shows there will show there. If Canvas is not able to display it, the file name will always show over here. You can click it to download it and view it on your device, view it in some other tool that allows you to view that file type. Up here, again, we have just a little more information of the 2 students in the course. 0 of 2 have been graded. This is the first of 2 students. As you can see here, I click on Han Solo's name and I get a little drop down of the students in this section versus the students in this course. This is a multi-section course, so it just works a little bit differently. But for the most part, you'll just see all your students listed here and you can go through. You'll see the total grade here, the grade you are giving to the student, 48 for Han Solo for this. And we have our comment section down here. So as I mentioned for one of the questions earlier, you'll still have the ability to leave comments for students on ungraded assignments, so they can submit their essay submission or essay proposal topic, and you can say, that sounds good, run with that, or that's terrible, what are you talking about? You can still submit those comments here. You can also go back and forth with the student. The student will see this comment, they can reply to you. You can put in an attachment of whatever, an article that relates to whatever they were talking about. And you can see here, these can be downloaded. If the student says, screw you, you're a stupid teacher, you can download it and send it to us and we can help you with that. Okay, I think that's everything here. We have all our students. All right, so that was SpeedGrader. Oh, this was just till 5:15. I thought this was longer. I'm so sorry. This ended at 5:15. I thought this was a longer session. I will happy to keep going if anyone would like to stick around. I just want to touch real quick on quizzes and discussions. Again, assignments is the place to be with Canvas to get started. It's where you're going to be building most of your basic things. Everything from there on is just kind of further complications off of the assignments tool. When Canvas was originally created years and years and years ago, it was just assignments and everything was a function of the assignments. The original quizzes tool was a function of the assignments tool. So it's going to look very similar. So first we'll get over to discussions because discussions is much quicker. Discussions are going to be Facebook comments, essentially. You make a post on your Facebook wall of the course and then everyone Facebook comments style onto the discussion. So again, for your course, depending on how it's formatted, may or may not be something useful for you. If we click plus discussion up here, it's going to look very familiar again. We have our title up here. We have our details about the discussion. Hey, here we're going to discuss Snow White and Dopey specifically. That is the prompt for the discussion. That is going to be up at the top. And as we scroll down here, you can see this is where things get a little bit different. These things are very discussion specific. So by default, discussions are assigned to the whole course. They are section specific just for some crazy technical reasons that Canvas loves to keep around. But for most cases, you'll leave this as default as all sections. There's only one section in most courses, and multi-section courses will already be caught under the umbrella of all sections. So by default, it'll go to all users. Most discussions will go to all users just by their kind of nature. Oh, question. Yes, Kyle.
Hey, sorry. So is there an app component to Canvas that downloads to, you know, to iOS or Android, or do you have to interact with this platform? Sorry, you said yes, so there we go.
Yeah, there is a iOS and an Android. There is a Canvas student, teacher, and parent. They just, I mean, obviously you will download teacher for the most cases, but they're very similar. It just kind of dictates some specific formatting things. But yeah, it is essentially a duplicate of this version. You can do most things from the Canvas mobile app. I can't even think of any specifics anymore. Over the years, they've
So
done a
it
lot.
functions on iPad as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Apple
Great.
Pen. I think just the two newest versions of the Apple Pen, at least the newest one.
And you can you
Mhm.
can you enable notifications to push to you just like email?
Yes, the same to the device.
Great.
The phone number notifications they list there, but it doesn't work for anyone that has Verizon. Verizon doesn't let it.
What?
Yeah, AT&T and whoever else. Verizon is the only one. It's years and years and years. It's a whole thing.
Interesting.
I wouldn't recommend using it at all because it's really shoddy either way. Yeah, just
Okay.
use the app notifications and that works fine. Yeah, there are totally people that run it off the iPad. The one thing to keep in mind for iPad usage is with the Respondus Lockdown browser for quizzes, which again, way more advanced than the beginner here. With Respondus Lockdown browser, there's a separate setting that needs to be turned on to allow students to use an iPad. But that's the only thing. Other than that, it's all identical. Identical from a phone to iPad. That there are a couple limitations of the of the mobile device that is not on the desktop device, obviously. But the vast majority of things you can run your entire course from an iPad just fine. Tons of people do. Absolutely.
Okay, great. And are you our primary point of contact if we have questions or need support or?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Awesome. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah, so the options here where we get down to these options are where things kind of differ from the assignment specifically. So for the assignment where we had a submission type and things like that. Question. Yes.
Oh, yep. Sorry. Hi. I was just curious. I also put something in the chat about I got a weird error message that my account will be automatically created once my course enrollments are processed. And I had already gotten my american.edu email address, so I wasn't sure what that meant.
Yeah, I can fix that for you. Stick around when we're done here and I can
Cool, thanks.
make that. Yeah, awesome. Cool. Yeah, a couple more quick things for discussions and then we'll get to quizzes real quick. So yeah, options here. Allow threaded replies. Like I said, Facebook replies. So it's threaded. You can reply to someone's reply, and it kind of does the little Facebook thready thing. Or you can reply to the main point, and it will be separate below it. Again, Facebook comments. Everyone pretty much gets that, and that's exactly what it's designed off of too. Users must post before seeing replies. Fantastic for if you want to use Canvas discussions graded for like like an English course. Students read chapters 1, 2, and 3 of To Kill a Mockingbird, and then go and discuss and talk about your favorite portion. It's super easy to just go in and read everyone else's and just kind of take the gist of it and make your own, 3 or 4 sentence response and make it look unique, but it's not actually from you. So what you can do is turn on users must post before seeing replies. So all they'll see when they first go into the discussion is what you posted at the top, your prompt, what you want from students. They'll have to go through and do their post first, and then when they submit it, they'll see everyone else's, and then they can start conversing and discussing with other students about their topics. So yeah, the kind of deduction of other person's submissions, and then to turn that into a submission for a different student that didn't actually read. This is the best way to get ahead of that. It is a fantastic function here. It is great. Enable podcast feed, completely ignore it. It doesn't work well at all, and there's no reason to enable a podcast feed in this way through a discussion because it doesn't work in the first place. It's been there forever. I don't know why. Graded discussion, as it sounds, it just gives it a grade for the function. It doesn't automatically do any grading with submissions. It just gives you the ability to assign grades for students when they submit to a discussion. And allow liking, as it sounds, Facebook likes, you can tell students like this post to let me know that you've seen that class is canceled tomorrow or moved to a different room. Something like that. You can use liking for it. Tells you who likes each discussion. Add to student to-do list, just as it sounds. Assignments and any graded features or any graded items will already automatically be added to student calendars and their to-do list within their Canvas account. But if it is not graded, you can also add it to student to-do lists manually here by setting a date that it will show on student calendars. Again, group discussion. If groups are being used for whatever reason, you can also do it in a discussion. So it will group those student submissions from those discussion members together. Again, kind of a weird situation of using. It will split off each group into their own little discussion. So it's more for having people communicate within their group rather than groups communicate with others. So again, that's a specific one we'll go over more than the discussion training. And then availability, just like is with other things available from the state until this one. When you turn on graded, it does give that option to have a due date versus the available from and until date. Okay, discussions are very simple. Again, it's mostly just kind of where students can converse back and forth about things. The example, sorry, my wife's home. The example for discussing a reading of the past homework is usually the most common kind of thing for that. So real quick, we'll cover quizzes. Quizzes will have again, its own training session, but I just love to mention it real quick just because there are two different quiz tools. Canvas has, rather than updating the new quizzes tool, they just kind of created two parallel functions. New quizzes is 99% of classic quizzes plus a couple different things and different layout and formatting style things. And same thing with classic quizzes. They both do 99% of what the other one does. It's just a little bit of formatting, a little bit of how it was built. Most of it is the back end stuff, the software engineering stuff. New quizzes obviously is the new quizzes tool. Classic quizzes obviously is the older quizzes tool. So at some point in the future, there will be a move to new quizzes, and classic quizzes will be they've been playing around with it for years, since before I started working at Canvas in 2018. They were already talking about when they were going to get rid of classic quizzes. It's been pushed back for years and years. If you ask me, they're probably just going to roll it into new quizzes as either a skin, so you can view it as a new quizzes view or a classic quizzes view, and they'll all do the same thing. It's just how you view it. In my opinion, that's probably what they'll do, just because it's again, they both do most of the same things. There's really only one or two key differences with new quizzes, and that's just kind of question types and some analytics options. So we'll go into classic quizzes first. I do recommend starting with classic quizzes just because it's the classic tool, and it looks a lot more like setting up an assignment or a discussion that we are now familiar with. So as you can see here, the first difference we'll see is we have a different tab up here at the top for questions. The details tab is going to look just like an assignment, again, with just a couple different options down here at the bottom. So up here, we give it our quiz name. Oh, whoops. Quiz. Oh my gosh, I have way too many tools in here. Quiz 1. In this section here, this is the general information about the quiz as a whole. So this is, hey, this quiz covers just chapters 4, 5, and 6. This is not where we put our questions. Not where we put our questions, just where we put the general information about the quiz. That is the biggest stumbling point most people encounter because it's not mentioned anywhere. It's just here. So if we go down again, we have more settings. Quiz type, we have a couple options. Practice quiz is not graded. It is just a practice quiz. You go through and answer the same questions the same way. It will still tell you, what was right or wrong, but it won't tell you a grade for it. Graded quiz, as it sounds, is graded. Your grade will go to the grade book for that. Graded survey is just opinion-based assignment. So the survey, how did you like the course? Things like that, that type of a survey. As long as you submit it, you get full credit. Whatever the points value is for it, if you submit to a graded survey, you get all the points. So it's kind of like an all or nothing, but it's a participatory based all or nothing, I guess. So graded survey, whatever they submit, they get the points for. So the money. Ungraded survey is an opposite. It's just not graded. You're just looking for that information from them. In most cases, you'll be doing a graded quiz. Again, the assignment group, just the grouping in which that shows on the assignments page. Under options here, shuffle answers is going to be shuffle the answers within an individual question. So for question 1, it is what year did something happen? 1975, 76, 77, 78. If we do not check shuffle answers, those will always show in that exact order. If we do shuffle answers, they'll show in a different order. Example for that, if all students are taking a test on their laptop in the classroom, it's easy for students to look over and see, oh, for question 1, they picked the third one. I'll pick the third one too. That kind of thing, just so students look back and forth, things like that, just so they don't always show in the same option. If you have one question, or if you have multiple questions that all have the same set of answers, you can also shuffle them just so students aren't picking B for every single question 4 in a row and messing with their head about stuff. Shuffling answers is going to be the answers within the individual question, aside from how they were set up in when the answers were initially set. Sorry, that was confusing. The time limit is going to be the time they have within the quiz. So from the time they click start this quiz to the time when the quiz automatically submits, that is the time limit. That is going to differ from the available from and until window, because again, this is the window in which they have access to the quiz. So we can say students have it from Monday to Friday to take the quiz, but between Monday and Friday, they just have 50 minutes. So anytime between Monday and Friday, they just have 50 minutes in the quiz. They can use those 50 minutes anywhere, but they have to use it within that window. Another thing to keep in mind with this is if they start their quiz, it ends at Friday at 11:59. If they start their quiz only 10 minutes before that deadline, they will only get 10 minutes because they cannot go past the deadline to use the allotted time they have in their time limit. The time limit will not supersede any hard dates and the available from and until date. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. Another good use case for this is say you have students coming in for a final exam. The final exam is just in class from 1 p.m. until 3 p.m. But students have 90 minutes within that to access the exam. So that allows them time to get to class, open their computer, realize they need to update their computer, they need to update their browser, they have to update this driver, that driver, whatever. It gives them a little bit of time once they get to class to get ready, to get set, and to get into the quiz to take it. So they can use that 90 minutes anytime within that window that you allot. And same thing with the due date. If they submit it after a certain date, it has that big late stamp on it that we, I should have mentioned. Within SpeedGrader in that right-hand panel, when they submit late, that's where you see it as a big red late stamp. You see there, you can't miss it. And then you can decide how many what deductions to take from that student. Show one question at a time, just as it sounds. Instead of seeing a whole list of them that they can scroll up and down through and see all the questions, you can have them show one question at a time. If future questions give information about past questions or whatever, you can also lock after answering, so they can only go forward. They can't go back to other questions and see whatever information, whatever. Can't think of a good use case for that. Math problems, story problems with information about things, or answers to a previous question that they use in a future question, something like that. Yeah, that one's pretty good. There aren't usually a lot of issues with that, other than students being like, I didn't know I couldn't go backwards, and it's like, no. Quiz restrictions require an access code. This is going to be a code that is the same for all users. They get to, you are having a final exam in the classroom, like the last example, 2 hours to take it just in the classroom. They can't take it at home. So for that, you set the passcode as password 1, which is hard to guess for whatever reason, and you write that on the board. So when students come and sit down, they have to look up at the board to even get into the quiz. If they're home, they can't get into it unless a friend of theirs texts the code to them. It is not unique for users, but what you can do is you can make it look unique, and you can tell students, once you finish your essay, come find me and I will give you your access code, without mentioning that it's the same for everyone. It's a little bit of a workaround there, just because it isn't super functional, because they're not unique access codes for each individual user to let them in at a given time. You can see when students go into a quiz, when they submit it, all of that is always logged and everything. But it's just kind of one of the little sneaky workarounds. You know, hey, come hand me your written part of the quiz and I will give you your access code to whatever. You'll write down a little paper, make it look like you're generating, look up at the computer. I've heard great stories about that. But yeah, an access code is great if you want students in the class to only take it in the classroom. Filter IP addresses, very similarly, you can set the IP address where students can only access the quiz when they're on that certain IP address in a computer lab, in your classroom, whatever. Has its own technical limitations. Obviously, if a student is on their own, their weird IP address things, it does work, but obviously there are external factors that can sometimes be problematic with IP addresses. Yeah, works for the most part though. And then lastly, assigned to section, very similar to assignments. Again, we have our due date and our available from and until windows here. Where quizzes will differ is, again, up here at the top, we go to this questions tab. And this is where we generate our quiz essentially. So you can see here, we have new question. And if we click on that here, this is going to be our kind of generic question view here. I'm going to go smaller so we can kind of see it. Oh, it doesn't do that very well. Doesn't shrink very well. But you can see here, we have up at the top, question 1. This is just for your information. This is just on your end. Students don't see that. So you can put chapter 1-4, chapter 1- the hard question, things like that. And here's where you have all your different question types that you set up for the quiz. As you can see, similar to creating assignments and then quizzes, we have a very, very familiar looking text box here. This is where you do put the actual question. So you remember the last text box here on the details page. This is where we put this quiz covers chapters 4, 5, and 6, blah, blah, blah. This is where we do the actual question. So for question 1, who was the first president? We have all of our formatting options here, all of our, if you want to put an image that was used in your course for something, you can upload that here, and the same picture of George Washington, so they know. And here's where we put our options: George Washington, Andrew Jackson. And you can see here, again, similar to the option about shuffling answers. If we do not select shuffle answers, they will show to students in the same order. By default, the correct answer is always going to be the first one, but we can change it here. You can see this little green answer denotes the correct answer here. We can kind of hover our cursor down and we can move it. This is the layout that they will show again in the quiz if we do not select shuffle answers. If we do, again, it'll totally randomize them every single time. But if it's chronological years, if it's some sort of math things in numeric order or alphabetical order or whatever, if they need to be in the same order, we don't want to turn that on. But if again, if they need to be randomized, we can turn that on. But we can always, again, pick different options for the correct answer. So it's not always going to be in that first position every time. So again, for a multiple choice question, who was the first president? That is the question up at the top, and beneath that, it will show the 4 options. It will have little radio buttons to select the answer that the student is submitting. If they select one, it deselects the other. Radio buttons and quizzes, very common stuff, not crazy. We can add additional answers here. So you can have multiple, you can have 4, 5, 6. We can delete them. If you can see here, you can hover your cursor. We have a little edit pencil and then a little trash can. We can delete them, however many possible answers we like. And then these boxes down here at the bottom are going to be comments that students will receive based on the result of their question. So the green box, obviously, if a student gets the answer correct, they will get this comment. If you click the red one, this is if they get it wrong, they'll get this comment. Whoops. And then if we click the gray one here, this is a comment that they will get no matter what they answer. So this is really great for if the subsequent question has information that is based off of getting the correct answer on this one. Even if students don't get the correct answer, you can put it in incorrect or you can put it in general. The correct answer should have been this one. So they can kind of get that information, blah, 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 go from there. Yeah, not super commonly used, but it is useful, and I think people should use it more. From there, we have our different question types. For the most part, they're going to be very similar. Again, we have a large text box at the top where you put the question stem. The difference in the question types is going to be how students are answering. True, false, gives them the option to true or false. Fill in the blanks to fill in, obviously. In the quizzes training, we'll go into these in more detail. The biggest difference one is going to be for essay question. If you do want an essay question, it just gives a big text box. And the last one is going to be text, no question. So if within your quiz, you would like a break in the quiz, if you want to organize it a little bit, you can put text, no question, and it will just show a bar of text in between questions. You can use it for, again, just informational, part 1, part 2. For the next 5 questions, you will use this passage, blah, 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 things like that. Just text, no questions or no points associated with that. Oh, I didn't mention though, in the upper right-hand corner is going to be the total value for each question. If you remember on this main page here, you don't see any sort of point value for the quiz. The point value for the quiz is automatically just added up from the sum of all the questions you have in it. So I'll just create this real quick. We'll click update question, and you can see here this question is worth 5 points, and now the quiz is in total worth 5 points up here. So you go through, you build all your questions, you create them with new questions here. The questions group here, this is going to be for if you would like a set of questions and students are to receive a certain number of questions from that group at a random. 10 questions, and each student randomly gets 5 of them, things like that for cheating help, randomness, fairness, whatever. So what you can do, you can link this to a question bank. We'll go over that in the quizzes training in a couple days in more detail. If you previously have question banks added, or if there have been some that have been created from Pearson McGraw-Hill, we can also upload those into Canvas that you can use. But essentially, we can also create them manually and drag and drop questions into this group. If I can get that, oh, I have to create the group first. Excuse me. It works. And there we go. Now you can see this question is in the group. We create another question. Save. And you can see here, we can group them together. So this is where we can use that text no question option and say, for these 5 questions, it's for this passage in this book, and I want you to consider this while you're answering them. And you can kind of group them all together, and students can either get a random set or they can get all of them. If we click edit here, you can say, pick 2 questions out of the group. How many you get there. Again, find questions here. If we have question banks, we can use that to pull that information over here as well. Mastery Path, that is a whole different thing that'll have, I think, its own training, maybe. It's a very advanced thing. Essentially, you map out the entire course step by step, and based on the grade students get, they go in different directions. It is a whole thing. It takes a long time to set up also, so we'll just ignore Mastery Path whenever we see that there. Almost. I think that might be it. I planned for this being an hour and a half. It used to be an hour, either used to be an hour and a half, or one of the other ones used to be an hour and a half. So if this was an hour and a half, I would be right on for this. I just want that to be known. I just want that to be on the recording. Pages and files, I touched on those real quick. Again, they're just kind of repositories here. If we click on pages, you can see here are the pages that are in my course, a test page that I created with text on it. You can see, again, when we edit it, it will look very similar. We have our title up here, we have all our options, and our text box here where we put all our information for a page, and those can all be added to the modules page. So I just went over all the different tools and functions within Canvas. Once all of those are built, the modules page is a functional table of contents within Canvas. Any of the other things that you have built, assignments, discussions, quizzes, pages, files, can be added to your modules. So once you have everything built, the modules, again, is a functional table of contents. So we have module 1, chapter 1, week 1, day 1, whatever we have built within this course, assignments, quizzes, files, we can add those to the module so you can lay out your course and kind of walk students through it a little bit. You have, we start with a page, we start with this test. This is going to be where I have some of my readings for students. So first, students go through and do their readings. Then after they finish their readings, they'll go through and do this assignment. So the assignment is here next. You can see as we add them, they're each going to have their own unique icon next to them. Pages will be a little page. Assignments is a little assignment with a little pencil here. If we had quizzes, it's going to be a little rocket, depending on the type of quiz. It'll be either a filled-in rocket or an empty rocket. You can see here, depending on the type of quiz. So you can see how you can kind of build your course here as you finish that first module. Now we have module 2. And within that, we can add the content from module 2, chapter 2, week 2. So again, a functional table of contents. So rather than students going into each individual menu, oh, do I need to do an assignment? Do I need to do a quiz? Do I need to do a discussion? You can kind of centralize all of the content here through the modules page. One last thing I like to go over here. These are all the different tools, external tools, things like that. We scroll to the bottom to settings here. We'll have some of our course settings here. If you want to set up a course image, the name and the course code, those are locked just for organization, and so we can still find the courses. If you do want the title change for your course, just let me know or let us know. Send us an email or send us a case, and we can go ahead and edit that for you. But the rest of them are just general information. It will show the state, start and end date for the course here. It will show term for the vast majority for them, and the term will show, oh my goodness, all the way to the bottom, spring 2024. It will populate the dates for yours. I don't know why it's not showing for mine now, but it will show the dates of the, not hypothetical, the start and end date that are set for the spring 2024 semester, the dates at which it will open, the course will open for student access, and the dates at which it will go into a read-only state is the end date. We have, again, a bunch of other options here for kind of changing up the course. Under here at more options is going to be a couple great sneaky ones here. Let students edit and delete their own discussion replies. If you're using discussions, you're going to know whether or not that's something you need turned on or off in your course, also based on your students. Another one is going to be high grade distribution graphs from students. In their grade book, it shows the range of grades of how students have done on quiz, for example, the highest score, the lowest score, the mean, the average. So if students are always emailing you, oh my gosh, I'm the lowest in the class, blah, 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 blah. You can turn that off so they just don't see it at all. A couple other kind of funky ones down here. Of the top sections, if you have cross-listed course, section 001 and 002, you're managing, you'll see both of them listed here. The course navigation menu, this is going to be a really important one. This is how you organize this menu over here within your course. So if you are just having assignments and discussions and you don't need quizzes, what we can do here, the top group is going to be active, the bottom group is going to be disabled and not visible to students. So we can say, I don't have any quizzes. I'm going to drag quizzes down here and disable it. I don't have any files. I can click these 3 dots and click disable. And we can get rid of a bunch of stuff, drag a bunch of things out of here, make it a lot more truncated, make it a lot more simple. Get out of here. There. So now we just have syllabus, assignments, not even announcements, no rubrics, modules. You can click save here. For my view and your view, it will still look a little bit cluttered. The ones with the eye, students cannot see, but you as an instructor still need to see just because there's content in those, or there may be content in those, but students will just see this here.
I'm sorry, where was that?
Oh,
what is
sorry,
that?
that was, yeah, under settings and under the navigation tab. Sorry, that was really quick.
No, it's okay. I have that, and I just one other question real quick. When we have the modules, I'm trying to, like, I just popped a module up and then I was gonna kind of like fill stuff in and I can't seem to edit it. Is there, or when I edit it, it just gives me just, the only options it gives me is to lock it and add a requirement.
Yeah, so the module itself is just the title of it, and then just the kind of this box, this gray header.
Oh,
And yeah, all you're creating is a
plus.
placeholder. Yeah, a place for a grouping mechanism. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, once you create assignments, files, pages, whatever you're adding, then we use this plus sign over here, and we have all our different groups of content that we can then select. And I don't know, discussion. Select a page to add, and then yeah. Mhm. So yeah, modules is kind of a real quick stop on the modules page as you're setting up your course, just so it's in the back of your mind, you know, how am I going to set this up, chapters, weeks, whatever. Then go through, create your assignments, create your quizzes, create your discussions, and then head back to modules and say, okay, now with what I have, how do I want to kind of lay out the course? What do I want to show students here? What do I want to add to each module? Things like that. And then also, in addition to all the content within the course that you've created, you also have just the generic text header where you can just put information and say, this is where spring break will be, whatever, from the 15th to the 17th, whatever, no class, that kind of thing. So yeah, the modules page is, yeah, when you have nothing in your course, it's going to look like nothing. And if you try to use it, it's going to feel like it's not working. But that's just because it's a what's the word I'm looking for? It is kind of defined by other things within the course. If there's nothing in the course, that you can't do much with it. But yeah, it's kind of more of a, once you have everything in there, it's just how you organize everything. You don't need to use the modules page also. Like if you just have assignments within your course, if there aren't any quizzes or discussions to even have them go anywhere else, you can just have the assignments page listed. The modules page can be hidden like this, and students go, oh, there's home, assignments, grades, people, syllabus. That's easy. If I need to do something, I can just go to assignments. Whereas they may not exactly know what modules is first, you know, but they'll click on it and then they'll see it pretty quickly. Yeah. So yeah, it doesn't start with much, but then as you get more, it'll kind of flesh itself out a little bit.
But if you use modules, which I want to, that means it'll show like week 1 and we have all this stuff like the materials and links.
Yeah, you add everything in, you can move it around. Not everything has to be published at once too. So like there is so the module as a whole can be published separate from the items within the module. So you can see, you can publish the module and all the items, just publish what is only published. So you can see here, the unnamed quiz, I'm still hiding that. I haven't published that yet. I'm still working on it. So students can access the assignment, this page, and this other page. But until I publish this one, they can't see this yet. So you can see how you kind of have some control over the modules page also based off of what you make available to students. So you can publish all of them at the same time, or you can publish the first module for week 1 while you still work on week 2. You can keep it hidden, you can add stuff, things like that. And then when you're ready, then you can publish the module and the contents within it, or what's ever published. Yeah.
And that's different than the course, like my course status is said it's unpublished. When I publish it, it's not gonna publish everything inside of it? Or
Correct.
Okay, so I just hit publish anyway, and
Yep.
then still within it, those things that are not published, I have to manually do.
Yeah, this is a dummy course, so it doesn't show for me, but yeah, where it shows up here, the publication status on the homepage, yeah, that is for the whole course as a whole. So that whole course as a whole comes to you unpublished, and then yeah, when you're ready to show this course to students, you publish it. But yeah, that is separate from any of the modules being published or any of the contents within it being published. Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that is all the content I wanted to cover. Oh, let me check the chat real quick. Oh, okay, cool. Just a request for account. Susan, I will get that set up. Awesome.
I'm having the same issue as Susan.
Oh, cool. Okay, Catherine, awesome. Let me
Yes.
just take your information then. Yeah, I got like right before we started, I got a bunch of cases of accounts not working, and they all have the same weird formulaic switching of information that would make it inaccessible at this moment. So I think it must be a bunch of new accounts were created from the system and something must have gone wrong. But it's just one little typo that I have to just go in and fix real quick for them. So yeah, so I have Catherine, I have Susan. Any other users who still need a Canvas account or also courses added? Cool, awesome. Okay, cool. So I got those two. I covered everything. Okay, cool. So I think that was everything I wanted to cover. There will be more trainings that will break out each one of those in much more detail, even more than I went into for assignments. But assignments is a very big one. Again, it's good that I went over that for a long time. And if this was an hour and a half, I would have been a lot closer to being on time. Awesome. Thank you so much for stopping by, everyone. Any more questions? Sorry.
Oh, thanks, Zach. Appreciate your expertise.
Absolutely. Of course, yeah. And
Thank you,
again,
Zach.
oh yeah, sure, thank you. Yeah, and again, any more questions for us? Yeah, you can reach out to us here, canvas@american.edu, or our phone number is there. I do not work locally. That's one thing I should keep in mind. I'm remote from Eugene, Oregon. So I work a little bit later. I work 10 to 6 Eastern time. And I can really hang around after that. Again, it's West Coast time. My wife just got home and it's 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock there. So yeah, if you have stuff that's kind of a little bit after hours, I can usually kind of schedule some time a little bit to be there. If you've got a late quiz or a late exam, I'm usually the one that's able to do the later stuff. And my colleagues that are local on the East Coast and it's not a still dark and ungodly early hour for them, handle the early stuff.
What's your email again?
It is,
I'll try not to bother you, but never know.
sorry, I had it. There we go. Canvas@american.edu. I'll throw those in the chat again. There we are. And yeah, our phone number, there are just, oh my gosh, it's just 2 of us now. There used to be 3 of us that were answering the phones. It's just 2 of us on the phones now. So it's often busy, but you can leave us a message on our answering machine that will create a ticket in our ticketing system automatically. And as soon as we get those in, we attach it to your account too. Yeah, if you give us a call, we don't pick up, leave us a message, it'll create us a ticket. We'll probably send you an email right away and be like, oh my gosh, I'm still stuck in this meeting. I'll be out in like 5 minutes and I'll call you right back, or I can fix it from here and I'll call you when we're done, that kind of thing. That was one more thing. Oh no, that was it. Yeah, just the contact information. And again, Canvas support is available 24/7, and they should know what they're doing. I trained a good bit of.
Thanks.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being here, everybody. Again, we'll have a lot more of these in the coming weeks that go into even more detail than I did here, if that can be imagined. Thanks so much for stopping by. Have a good day.